Hey guys, it's today bringing you another video and welcome to another dev update. I will say I'll be kind of probably placing this video around the content that is still like Split 2 stuff. I think the last Split 2 content I'll be uploading will be Friday's main video, and it's like a over 3 hours video long, so enjoy that. So in theory, Friday's second video might be the start of my Split 3 content, which obviously the second video of the day, which obviously this one is on Huzzy Extra. So yeah. Anyway, let's get into it. So matchmaking in 2024, a look about how the 2024 updates have landed and what's next. So obviously they did try to do a few fixes here and there. Let's see how it's going. So in our last dev update, we got quite a few questions from players across the globe about matchmaking. So today we're going to take a look about how the matchmaking changes this year have landed, and more importantly, what we're currently working on. So negative LP accounts. This was a major problem last year in like master rating, that you could have a positive win rate, but we were all gaining negative LP in terms of, you know, you might have gained 18 per win, lost 22, but you had a positive win rate. It was really poop. So anyway, this one is earlier in the year, we had an issue causing accounts to lose more LP than they gained, even if they were performing well. We have made some changes to remove negative LP for all tiers as of Split 2. We resolved these cases, except for short periods of time where players are losing a bunch of games at tier boundaries. We also reduced queue times for Iron to Silver players by about a minute, and LP gaps within team by about 1.5 divisions to bring the average LP gap between teams to around 1 division. So Silver 3 and 2 will be together. So in theory, if you're Silver 3, there should never be a Gold 4 player in your game, for example. These changes landed even better in China, as it reduced the LP gaps in Iron to Silver from 7 divisions to 1, and decreased average queue times by 30 seconds. We're also forced win rate harvesting teams to play against each other. Win rate harvesting teams use manipulated accounts to maintain 100% win rate over hundreds of games. So they're the ones that like kind of scumbag content creators buy because they've been D-ranked to low iron and stuff like that. That's kind of those. So those type of players are now going to be forced to play against each other. So one of them has to lose. So, you know, if they're on the enemy team, one team wins, one team loses. So they never get to maintain 100% win rate all the time. That's cool. LP difference, blue and red side. So another matchmaking space we revisited was it was red versus blue side balancing, because yeah, it was a little bit unbalanced. In 14-17, so a few patches ago, we made some changes to reduce the average LP difference between teams from 2 divisions to 1. We also made changes to make blue and red side more balanced, especially in high MMR. Just to put it, I can't remember which way around it was, but in like master and above rating, it was literally like one side had a 56 or something % win rate, and the other side had a 45% odd win rate. Like, it was a big difference, just simply which side of the map you were on. We also blah blah blah. Especially on these changes also reduce the incidents of certain high rank players placing repeatedly on the same side. Okay. Autofill diffs. So this is actually quite a big little area, so we'll do that. So autofill is one of our greatest challenges. It is a necessity because the reality in some roles are more popular than others, especially in different regions. But if everyone always got their primary role, queue times would be much longer. Again, I've kind of always said it, like, and this is where I know I'm different than the average player in what I like and dislike. And I've also noticed I don't have my light on, but whatever. I'm just in the darkness. I don't like role queue. I've kind of been open and honest about that since it came out. I think the average player, and this is the difference. Each year League of Legends goes on, the average player base in the game gets better and better because the game gets older. But I think the average player has got dumber in terms of being what I would kind of say as a League of Legends player. And what I defer as a League of Legends, or define as a League of Legends player, is you can play the game in all roles. That's what I value, and I think if you watch my content, you know that's what I value, and that's why I don't like one tricks and stuff like that. I just don't value that as being a great player. I never will. And obviously what role queue has done is make people more specialist. It's made every player pretty much more specialist because they're just going to queue up as mid and top every game for the last 2 to 3 years. So yeah, they've got better at mid or top, but you put that same player on a different role, they suck. And that's why autofill never feels very good, because players nowadays are way worse on off roles than they've ever been. So for me, I wish that role queue wasn't even a thing. Unfortunately, I think some people like it, and this is where, again, I'm not an idiot. I think, for me, that I play this game full time, I can dedicate a decent amount of time to playing however much I want. If you're a father playing 1 or 2 games every other night, you can't specialize in playing everything. So it's better to specialize in one thing, or at least one role. And I get that. It's just not my preferred way of the game, but I get it. That's why it exists. So what is this graph trying to show? Is this the percentage of people playing stuff? I don't know. When we took another look at this space, we found our current configurations to ensure autofill parity in some portions of games are resulting in too many games mismatched amount of autofill players. That definitely happened. In 14-17, we shipped an improvement that increased our rate of 0 to 0 and 1 to 1 games and effectively eliminated 2 to 0 games. So what I think that basically means is if there's 0 autofills, the other team should have 0 autofills. If one team has got 1 autofill, the other team should have 1 autofill. But before, there were some games that one team would have 2 autofills and the other team would have 0. So obviously that immediately puts the team with 2 autofills, probably they're going to lose the game. And I still hold true that you literally should not be allowed to get autofilled into jungle. Like, that just should be the exception. You should not be allowed to get autofilled into playing jungle, because putting a support main on jungle against a jungle main, the game's lost. Like, in high rating, at least, the game is lost. It's that simple. But let's see. We try to prioritize either 0-0 or 1-1 autofills on teams and try to limit swaps that would give one team an advantage. In some cases, however, we need to have autofill imbalances, such as 1-0 or 2-1, to prevent queue times getting too long. So they're basically saying there's nothing we can do. There's always going to be a slight imbalance to this. And I don't honestly know how. Try to limit swaps. How are they going to do that? If one person goes, hey, I'm a support main, I'm autofilled onto jungle, but then the guy that was actually given support goes, oh, jungle's my second role, I'll play it, that's fine. You can't really limit that. That's player decision. That's weird. So what I presume this is doing, like, again, the one thing I would say about Riot's graphs is they don't actually give a great example of what this is actually saying. I want to check some math. Let me just do a very quick calculation. If I do 21.4 plus 13.3 plus 29.7 plus 17.6 plus 16 equals 90. Okay, that's what it's telling me. Okay, what this is the percentage of the roles in the game, of what people queue as, I presume, primary. So in North America, most people, and this is true for pretty much every region, 29.7% people are queuing up as mid lane. Then top lane is the second most popular, then AD carry, then support, then jungle. And this is why obviously jungle gets autofilled more than most roles. EU West, exactly the same for mid lane, which is interesting. Similar for top lane. Then again, same for AD carries next, then support, then jungle. Be interesting if this changes. Oh my god, look at China. Whoa, look at China. So mid lane is not the most popular role. Top lane is, because probably top lane is the... I've always said it, and I've said it for months, and the only people that tend to disagree are some top lane players. If you are an amazing individual top laner, you have arguably the best carry potential in the game. And people may question that, but there's not a class of champion, really, that exists out of top lane that can 1v2 or 1v3 better than most of top laners. Like, there's some junglers that can do it, like a Hecarim can do it, but they're rare in jungle. Most mid laners can't. AD carries generally can't. Supports definitely can't. Majority of champions that can outnumber fight and come out on top, most of them champions are in top lane. So that if you are good individually, you have such a high carry potential in top lane versus other lanes. So China values top lane the highest. Then jungle, which again is kind of going back to that. What I'm saying is, yeah, you can have the most carry potential in that role. Then mid lane, then AD carry, and then support. Because again, China, we kind of all know, and Riot themselves have said this, China value kills more than anything else in terms of like how they like to play. So kills to China is probably, playing support to China is probably overall boring. But that also means their autofill rate is very high, and I would wager, obviously, majority of their autofills, where our autofills in the West are going to jungle mainly, their autofills will be going to support, which is less damaging for your team as a whole than a autofill going into jungle. Korea values obviously mid, it values top, jungle a bit less. You know, AD carry is the first one that is third over jungle, and then support, and then which is VN is it Vietnam maybe? Really doesn't value support. So basically, the higher the autofill ratio in here is the least, generally the less popular support is, which is interesting. Yeah, okay. And obviously what it goes with saying, you know, this needs to add up to 100%. You have 5 people in each game playing each role on each team. It's obviously, as you can say right away, this isn't, if you did even, it means every role would have 20% people queuing up as each role to make it so you wouldn't need autofill. Well, obviously, it's not 20% across the board, nowhere near. So that's why they're saying autofill needs to exist. So there's that. New account seeding. Earlier in the year, we also had a few issues causing some players to be placed a lot higher than intended. I will say I did benefit from this on the Mundo's Nurse account in Split 1. I'll mention that in a second. But yeah, we improved the seeding formulas to more accurately place players on their skill level. We also added the 10 normal game requirement before playing ranked. So now we'll have a much more accurate read on a player's skill, rather than bypassing our checks playing ARAM and bot games. Our aim is for new players to be placed with similarly skilled players and achieve a 50% win rate. While we're currently sitting at a 46% win rate for new players, with future adjustments and tweaks, we expect it to be closer to 50% in the future. See, I benefited from it, if I'm completely honest. The Mundo's Nurse account was a fresh account that we leveled up, and we started playing on it in Split 1, and we got pretty high placing straight away. And obviously we did make it to Master in Split 1 on the Mundo's Nurse account. So, like, that was officially the first time ever that we did an unranked to Master, and we didn't just do it in a season, we did it in one split. And obviously this year, there's 3 splits. I hope they're not going to stay with 3 splits. They might say something here, but we'll see. And if they don't say something, I will mention something at the end, if I remember. The future. So this is all things coming forward. So while we've been able to make some solid improvements in matchmaking this year, rest assured there's still more to come. Here are some matchmaking issues that we're currently on our radar. Solving each of these is a very much a balancing act of finding the right trade-offs between queue times and match quality, both of which are critically important for the health of League. So, seeding Smurfs. We've seen much better placements with the 10 normal games requirement to play ranked, which is helping us seed new accounts into ranks where they average 50%. So a genuine new player shouldn't be high rating. A Smurf, which obviously is showing, hey, you're pretty good in those 10 normal games, they're going to be naturally placed higher, and that's fine. But however, Smurf accounts for higher skilled players still take too long to get to their true rating. So they want Smurfs to get to higher rating quicker, to not, obviously, you know, you could say ruin average ranks as much. So we're investigating ways of improving that with the goal of reducing the amount of Smurfs in skill brackets well below their actual level. We've also got an evaluation underway called System True Skill 2, which we've mentioned before at present. This could potentially help out with meaningfully with things like better placing new accounts and detection of Smurfs. And as of right now, we're actively testing its effectiveness and determining how good of a fit of it for League. We'll let you know once we have an update. So the one thing about True Skill 2.0, I don't think they're going to say it here. No. They mentioned that they want to bring this to League of Legends, but they're not 100% sure they're going to as of right now. And for those that are like, really, why wouldn't it be good? So True Skill 2.0 is used in other games. It's a rank system, it's an LP system, whatever you want to call it. In Valorant it exists, but they're worried in League of Legends people will work it out too easily, and then you could gamify it. So they've already said that, you know, in one game, the parameter may be KDA, you know, how good your KDA is. Even if you lose the game, if you've got a really good KDA, you won't lose as much rank. They won't tell you that at the beginning of the game. And then the next game you play, maybe kill involvement will matter more. Maybe vision score will matter more. Each game you could go in, it will try to change the parameter of what's going to make you have higher LP gain or lower LP loss if you lose. But if that system exists, there's only going to be so many parameters going about. So if someone just plays in a set way with those parameters in mind, they can gamify the system. That's the problem. So someone could like just play in the most gamified way with the parameters, lose a lot of games, but because they're just fitting into those set parameters, they're not losing much at all, even though they may not be helping their team very much to actually try to win the game. That's the problem. So it may not come to League. Next up, though, is skill level consistency across queues. We have a large majority of players whose choice of queue is ranked solo queue, and while that isn't an issue, we want to create some degree of parity between queues. At the moment, when high-ranked players play normal or flex games occasionally, it can cause quite imbalanced matches, so their solo queue rating isn't referenced for normal or flex. The goal here is to take their overall skill level into consideration for matchmaking so games aren't excessively outside. I think that's kind of dumb. Some people may like disagree with me, but like when a really good player goes to go play the casual mode of the game, it should be a casual experience. Like normal is not a ranked mode. So like if a master player wants to go play a normal game, they're doing it for a reason. They want to chill out a bit more. Maybe they do want to get 25 kills in a casual game mode. Why is that a problem? Like I've been on the receiving end of toxicity as a Diamond 1 master player going, why the hell are you in this normal game? Blah, blah, blah. But like, why can't I be? Like, that's kind of, I don't know. It's like, it's the equivalent of a ranked Call of Duty player going into normal lobbies and just stomping. Like, shouldn't that be fine? Like, and obviously I speak of this as a good player. You know, I've not really been on the other end of it. If I'm not a very good player and I get stomped by a high rating, I don't know what that feels like. But because, you know, I'm a ranked player first and foremost in any game that I play. But I think that's kind of dumb. Anyway, leveling role queue disparity. So as mentioned on the table above, there's a pretty wide variance of at least popular role by region. As a result, one size fits all regional solution doesn't really exist right now. We're on the hunt for better matchmaking or incentive solutions here that can level out some of the extreme disparities and lower queue times without compromising on match quality. Give more LP for a not popular role. Like if you just go, hey, no one's playing support right now. If you play support and you win, you get just straight up a bonus of 3 LP. Just make it a flat amount. You just get 3 more LP. If you play support and you win, you get 3 more LP. Boom. Fixes the problem. Just straight away. That's what I would do. Autofill. We're still trying to find optimizations for which roles get autofilled. For example, if we have to make a 1v0 autofilled game, should we make some concessions to which team get with an autofilled player? Alternatively, if there's a 1v1 autofill, should we try to match them in the same role? 100%. Like, again, I've said it earlier in this video, jungle should not be allowed to be autofilled. Like, it's the biggest example of a role that if, again, the higher rating you go, it's only going to be a bigger problem. But if you have a jungle main, let's say you've got a jungle Kha'Zix main, 200 games, versus a Nami support main being autofilled to jungle playing Lee Sin, that game is over before it begins. It is that simple. In Diamond 1 Master and above, like, that game is over. It is that simple. So jungle should not be allowed to get autofilled. It's too unique. All the lanes have a crossover skill. You're laning, you kind of get it. The tempos are roughly the same. It's very crossover together. Jungle is the exception role in League. I'm not saying it's the hardest by far. It's just the most different. So throwing players onto that role that don't play it often is a nightmare. So yeah. So our early explorations have found that sometimes we can do this, but sometimes we can't without increasing queue times. I don't mind increasing queue times at all. So we're making an investigation potential solutions for this issue. Match balance. While we're always balancing making games more equal in terms of skill level, as noted earlier, we always need to find the right balance between weighing the importance of how we choose skill levels should be against how fast queues need to be. Match quality should be the number one thing I don't know if I'm the only one, but yeah, if you're going into a game that is not balanced in terms of skill in the game, you're just wasting my time. Like, that's the way of it. It needs to be a fair experience from the get-go. And if it's like, oh, we gave you a minute queue time though, give me a 5-minute queue time. I don't mind. That's 5 times more. I'm asking for a 5 times longer queue time. If you're trying to aim for a minute queue time, give me a 5-minute queue time. And that's the thing that people don't sometimes realize. If you give me a minute queue time and it's definitely an imbalanced game on either side, if I win the game in 15 minutes or I lose the game in 15 minutes, I've not actually had a very fun time. Even winning it is not that fun when it's that imbalanced. But if I waited 5 minutes and then you actually got a really even 5 players versus 5 players, and then I get a 30-minute game of it being really close and really like, oh, which team's going to win, that is so much more satisfying. That's amazing. That's what we should be aiming for, and that is match quality, not queue time. It shouldn't even be an argument. Match quality, skill, parity should be 100% the thing you're going for, not queue time. You can give me a minute queue time and it could be a horrible game on even winning it. Like, I don't care about that. Give me match quality. So they're saying is one area we're looking at is how we're matching players based on the role they queued up for and their lane opponent's skill level. Imagine a world where each player is close in skill level to the opponent they'll be playing against most within a game. That's cool. While we have a few concerns to work through here, we think a promising... That would be cool. The problem that you've got with that is trading. So, like, you're throwing 5v5 against each other. Or all 5 of these players are skilled against the one against them. And then this player and this player swaps. It throws it all out of balance. But they're never going to be able to really fix that. Return to ranked, and then lastly, we want to improve the return to ranked experience of players coming back to the game. Currently, players returning to ranked have a 46% win rate on average, but there's still room and improvement that they want the number to be closer to 50. The thing is, though, if you have taken an extended break from League of Legends, your account still remembers part of your MMR, and maybe that's something that they like. Maybe we're having to make the accounts forget their MMR a bit more, so they kind of start from scratch. But if you have had a break from any video game, like, you should have a negative win rate straight away, right? Like, if you take a year off, you're not going to be as good as you were leaving. So that's okay to have a negative win rate to me, but... And then finally, matchmaking may be a complicated space, but having high quality matchmaking is an important part of playing League, the most competitive game in the world. For that reason, we're constantly looking for opportunities to improve for players. We'll keep you posted on any big updates. So that's what I would say, and I've been harping on about this for a few years, and all of these dev updates are always the same. Is Riot is like, we know match quality and matchmaking is really important, but queue times... It's been like this for years, and the one thing that is hilarious is that this topic keeps coming up, that people are like, oh, the matchmaking isn't quite fair, because Riot values queue times too much. That's the thing. If they devalue queue times by a little bit and up match quality by a bit, that will make a big difference. They are valuing queue times way too much. And I think most people, when you actually put a question to them, is like, oh, would you like quick queue times? Yeah, the answer is yes. Who would like long queue times? But if you said, oh, but if we, increase queue times by even 50%, and that would make games that, get stomped in 15 minutes be a lot less common, would you take that trade-off? I'd wager most people would say yes. So that's just me. But anyway, that's going to be it. Let me know what you guys think down below. At least, again, they're being very open and honest about it. They're being kind of transparent about it. And that's what we asked for. I really like these dev updates. And I'm very happy Riot started doing them a few years ago. But yeah, let me know what you think. What do you value more, queue times or match quality? I think most people are going to value match quality. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time. Peace.
Call down the reckoning to bring back hope and peace. Restore our glory to live forever. Bring down the dark regime and